trying to reach my goals, got no time for mistakes. Yeah, I'm standing on business, need a big safe. Suited up, got the blueprint in the briefcase. It's go time on the grind, these are big stakes.
Broadcasting from the franchise Sidekick studio, welcome to the Sidekick Life. Get ready for stories of passion, problem solvings, and success from those living life on their terms. All right, we're back again with the Sidekick Life, and I'm super excited today because we are here with Suneera Madhani. Suneera is the founder of Stax, which had a great exit. She'll tell you about it. The founder of Worth AI, the creator of CEO School, and just an amazing keynote speaker because we just had her up on the main stage. Also mom of Anna and Mila, and so many great things. So we're excited to have you. Thanks for being here.
Oh my God, Ryan and Tyler, I'm super pumped to be here. This conference has been so energetic. I love your mission of what you're building, and I'm just excited to be part of the story.
Well, you're definitely, when we were planning on having you on stage, we said, Suneera's story is about what is possible, what could happen with entrepreneurship. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and just your journey in general.
Yeah, so I am a tech founder. I started a company called Stax Payments in 2014 and grew the business from just this idea to exiting it for north of $1 billion. So we became $1 billion, yes. The big B, became a unicorn founder, is the first woman out of the state of Florida. We're minority founders, every everything stacked against us kind of story. But we're really passionate about what we were building, and we're able to grow the business, exit the business. And that's been honestly my life for the last decade. I exited the business 2 years ago as CEO and left to go start another tech company. So we're back at it again. And I keep saying I work with my brother, who's my co-founder as well. So we have a beautiful story, which I'm sure we'll get into, but a lot of hard work, a lot of rejection, but the courage to keep going, and had, an incredible outcome and looking to do it again. Yeah,
so good. You had mentioned earlier on stage about this idea of you knew you had it, right?
Yeah.
And the message that your dad gave you, which I love. But I want to go back to the idea of when you figured out you were going to start Stax. And we talk a lot about fear, right? The overcoming of fear. We call it a status quo wall. You got to get over it in order to start the business, do the thing, get to the better life. So will you tell us a little bit about that day? You went in, you told your leadership team about this idea, they rejected it, and then what?
And then what? Oh my goodness. It was like my walls came crumbling down. My entire life, I feel like I've succeeded at everything I put my head to. I shared a little bit about my background. I come from an immigrant family, and so failure is not an option. Your parents sacrificed everything to, give you the life that they didn't have, which is a lot of pressure. It was a lot of unknowing pressure, I would say, that you kind of carry with you, because your success, matters. Your success, is determined on your hard work and perseverance, which your parents want you to have every opportunity that they didn't. So totally was around entrepreneurship my whole life, and not the sexy kind of entrepreneurship. So not how amazing entrepreneurship is today, which is so exciting. I just love business so much. But growing up, I was around business a ton, and it forced me the opposite way, actually. So I was a reluctant entrepreneur. I did not want to be an entrepreneur because I was going to go to college as the first person in my family to get an education. I could be anything I wanted to be, and I wanted to go into finance. And so that's I wanted to have the New York finance life. And I had a great corporate career, and then I ended up working for a payments company. But as somebody who was around entrepreneurship and around kind of seeing that problem solving of things and being able to find solutions to things, the idea for Stax first came to me. I was actually stuck in Texas. I was visiting my grandmother, and Texas does have snowstorms. So I was stuck in a Texas snowstorm, and I couldn't make my flight back. And I ended up staying for a couple extra days, and I was rerouting my subscription boxes back at home. And this is pre-subscription economy. So this is before, everything was a subscription. But even at 22 years old, I was subscribing to everything I could get my hands on. My dog had a subscription box. I had a jewelry one. I had a makeup one. I had a clothing one. And that was on the consumer side of it. But I was also, an elder millennial is what I'll call myself. But, all the, technology that I was using on my phone was also subscription based. And when I was stuck in Texas, that's kind of where that light bulb moment went off. And I was like, wait, why isn't there subscription credit card processing? And so there's somebody processing those payments. That's not what I'm referencing, but a flat monthly subscription for unlimited processing. And it was a really expensive, our business was really commoditized, and that's kind of, there was no differentiator in the market at the time. And the bank that I was working with, it was just commoditized of a business. And there's so much great technology, and I just, for some reason, like, that was where the vision came from. And I just became obsessed with it. I couldn't eat, shower, breathe. Like, it just happens that way for entrepreneurs. And I was like, this is the thing. No one's doing a subscription-based processing system. I need to go share this back with my team. And I was I thought the most amazing corporate employee. I was always coming up with the most brilliant ideas, trying to find different problems to solve. I was actually the most annoying probable corporate employee. Most entrepreneurs are. And so one thing I did share on stage is that I really value relationships, and something that even at an early start in my career, I was never afraid of talking to the person in charge. Like, I never had that fear of who's on the other side. I just had to go. I would always find the person that I needed to get to. And I still have that. I think it's one of my superpowers. And so I was able to get the flight change to get to Houston, which was where the corporate headquarters were. And I got a meeting with the CEO and the executive leadership team. Mind you, I am nobody in this organization. I have, I work out of Orlando. I don't own a team. I'm an individual, employee, and I'm new into the organization for maybe about a year. And so what happened next was not surprising, but to me, because I also told you I had an amazing family, and they were just always supporting. And my dad would always say, "You have it," and I was sharing that on stage, that superpower. So I just went in there, so pumped and excited. And as I mentioned, I usually succeed at everything I put my mind to. So I worked so hard on this, not just this presentation, but this thinking about this business plan through and through. Never once did I even think for a second that it'd be for me. It was for the company. I shared the presentation, and instead of the applause that I was expecting, I was laughed out of the room. It was very little girl, great idea, but it's just not the way it's done. You can't do this. We can't do this. It's just not possible. The investment that was going to be for technology. Why would we want to shake things this is how it's done everywhere. Is not going to change. And so that moment was a big defining moment but I could see it. Nobody else could see it. And I had a choice to make. I had a choice that I was either going to go back to work for somebody who wouldn't see my vision. And also now I don't see their vision for the company either. And I ended up going back to Orlando, and we had family dinner that evening. And around the table, my brother happened to also be, home from California. We were all there. It was just that perfect opportunity. And I was sharing where I felt I just fell on my face. And my family looks to me and they're like, "Well, why don't you go start the business?" And it was the first time anybody had ever asked me "Well, why not you? Why not me?" And I looked to my dad and I said, "Well, Dad, where do I go find Mr. Visa? How?
Mr. Visa,
how do I go start a payments company?" And that was really the founding, origination of that. And, the fear, there's so much fear, but I also shared that, I was 25 years old. So I look back and I think that there was a lot of fear of there was fear, but I also didn't have a lot to lose at that time. So I do think that if I were to look back at, if I were to be in that same position today, it might look different for me as a mother, as a wife, as the responsibilities. At that time, I didn't have any. And so I went for it and I quit my job. I moved back into my parents' house. And 6 months later, I found Mr. Visa and got registered. And 10 years later, exited the business. But we did $40 billion in payments through that system that was non-existent.
Unreal. I know you got a question, but I got to ask this. I just got to ask this.
I got a lot of questions, but it's fine.
I got one more I got to ask. So 10 years later, sold it for $1 billion. Have you ever run into any of the people that were in that room?
Everybody always asks.
I got to know.
Yes, I have. And I wish them so much success. And I think that, I'm sure there's, it's I don't know how they feel, right? I have met several of them, and there have been some in that room that have reached out to congratulate and just, and just share in my happiness and in the success, and that it's great that I was able to do it. And then there have been some that have not reached out that I've passed through in conferences that might be a little bit bitter.
Sure.
But, listen, so I wasn't trying to go off and do it on my own.
Well, I'm going to say it. If y'all are listening and you were in that room, you messed up. You messed up.
The obvious thing here is the fact that your family is very supportive.
Yeah.
And just talk on that real quick, because you're in business with your brother, and that's hard. I've been in business with my family. It's tough.
Really
so
tough.
Talk on that a little bit.
Yeah, it is really tough. I honestly don't know another way. My brother and I have been working together our whole lives. And so, we went to 10 different schools in 12 years. And so by default, he was my best friend. He's just the person that I we're 2 years apart. He's 2 years younger than me, but that age gap, when you're young or when you're way younger feels, really big, but then it closes really fast. And I think he's one of the only people in my life that has experienced pretty much all the things that I have experienced. And so it's easy. There's a trust there that is really deep, and there's so much foundation. And that is something that is just incredible if you can harness that, right? Imagine having a partner that is that has the same DNA, literally, that has the same value system, that has the same, that wants to win together, right? And that part is really important. And I think we're really grateful that it worked out. And I think one of the reasons why it's always worked out, even when he came on board. So I started the company initially by myself. And then as I was starting to scale it, we had this huge article in Fast Company that, we were front page Fast Company digitally. And it was, title was Meet the Woman Trying to Change the Credit Card Industry. And that article went viral. So we had, our phones were blowing up. We had one phone. Our tiny office, which is the size of this little podcast studio, we had to get all the startups on the floor. It was our Shark Tank moment. It was that overnight moment. Yeah. So Sal flew down from California, and his background. So we both went to UF. He was also in finance, but he went off to go work a different corporate career path than I did. So I was always in the sales and marketing side, but he was on the operational scaling side as well. And so he came in and he just knew exactly what to do. And I also immediately could trust him because he was the only person that it was just immediate. Even though we hadn't worked together on this, it was so easy. It was so effortless. It was divide and conquer. And he knew exactly where I needed to go. I knew exactly what I needed to do. And it was it. that was how it started. And and one of the things that in that moment of when I was I'd love for you to come join, and we need to scale this thing. And he was 100% all in. And somebody asked later of how I decided how much equity that I'd give to my brother. And I was honestly, it wasn't even a question. It was 50-50. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even a question, even though I had started the business earlier, or it could have been another way to calculate it. It wasn't even a single question. It was literally, here's my half. Because if we both are coming from at it together, then we're both going to succeed together. And so I think that is an important part of, if you do have family and business and in partnerships, I think the trust factor is so big, and it's there, and you can make it really work, but making sure that, and it doesn't always work out that way. It doesn't have to be fair. So I'm not trying to make it fair, but that is just how it worked out for us. I will say though, I own 2% more because I'm 2 years older. So that was the fair sibling thing to do. Funny, this next startup around, he owns 2% more just so that we can have life fairness. So, and it's just a thing that we do, but it's been really great. And it's been really hard. Yeah. So what you said, it doesn't mean that it's easy. With the people that you love the most, it's also the hardest to do things with because you're most vulnerable, you fight a ton. And I think siblings are in a different way where we could literally be at each other's throats and 1 second later, we're back to being normal. Versus, I don't know if I could ever work with my husband. I don't have to go home with my brother, right? And so for us, it's worked out in that way that we can show up, do the work, and then we can separate. But also, in our family life, we're very active, and he's a super uncle. He's having a baby now, and so our mom, we're just we're a big family, and we're able to turn work life off and show up as like family as well. But it took a lot of, like we've always had an executive coach. So the how is like, we've had somebody who's like a therapist, just like any, like, and I recommend this for all business partners. So if you have somebody who can be neutral, and there's going to be moments, but you get through the moments. Right. And so having somebody that can coach you through those moments builds for that. But the long-term trust is something that I wouldn't trade at all.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Early stage, you had a pivotal moment you told on the stage. Okay. And I want to talk about this because that was incredible, right? So paint the picture of what happened in that, what's transpired there early on.
Or the $17 million offer. Okay. So we had raised a little bit of capital. Mind you, it took 3 years to raise venture capital. Less than 2% of venture capital, even today, goes to female-led teams, which is insane. Today, still, this is a challenge. So ton of issues raising capital. And honestly, it wasn't like issues. We just didn't have access to it. So we're in Orlando. It's not like it was a big tech hub as well. And I didn't have like the network. And so those things are important. And 3 years into the business, like everything's off the ground. We've gotten, we've gotten traction. I was raising capital through venture plan competitions because I could like throw our name in and we'd walk away with a big check because our business plan was brilliant and I can get on stage and do the thing. And then we raised a seed round, capital round. And we got some institutional angel, some institution, and then some a big like network of like strong angels involved. And immediately thereafter, like maybe a few months after, we got an offer for $17 million to acquire, for the business to get acquired by a strategic. The valuation that we had was about $8 million right before that. So new investors had come in, they could 2x their money in months, and they got really excited. And we even got excited because it was the first time that we'd ever seen, like, it was real. I literally think that I did that math of what would go into like 100 times. Like it was like sitting next to my nightstand. And it's so hard to walk away from that as well. But so I decided to go through the process. Our board was really excited, and ended up, while I'm going through the process, there was just something off about the partnership, and I could feel it in my gut. And it wasn't just about like, we're going to be worth more, or, it was too early to sell, but it was also truly, I think there was not a DNA fit. Like I felt like I was getting sold, and I didn't feel like it was like the right fit for our team and for us. And just something wasn't fit, like the value human part of it wasn't fitting right. And one of our biggest, like every decision that we make is always based on our core principles. So I had mentioned one team is like our core rock value prop, our core value of our organization, and like how we run our lives too. That value system, like I didn't feel one team with the buying party. Went back to the board and said, I'm going to call the deal off. I don't think this makes sense for us. And they pretty much ended up not being happy with it. We had this huge like blowout. This is like my second board meeting. And, I'm working so hard to be this amazing CEO because you have so much doubt and like.
And how old are you at this point?
I am 26.
I mean, 26.
26, 27.
Like at 26. Oh,
I know.
That's amazing.
I know. And so, and I was fearful, right? I was fearful because you like second guess yourself because you're like, I don't know what I don't know. And I have to listen to these really awesome, sage, wise minds, right? But I knew it in my gut, walked away from it, or just said, no, we're not going to do it. The board got pissed off. The company got pissed off. Everybody was so pissed off. And even like, we were all pissed off because we're like, what do we do? Right? Like, and we didn't have, like, we had just raised capital, but, we knew we were going to run out of runway, and they had kind of, I don't want to say threatened, but it was like, we won't have access to this. It was like in tranches that the capital was going to come. They're like, well, we're not going to give, maybe it was a bluff, maybe it wasn't, but that the next tranche of capital wasn't going to come. And so I'm like, oh my God, we're going to like literally run out of cash. We're going to have to fire everybody, like all of this momentum that we have right now. And we had to like pull our heads together, put our mortgages on the line, defer our like almost nothing salaries that we literally had. We were taking like 30 grand, like we still had to defer every dollar that we could to give the company more runway. And we managed to figure it out. We found 6 months worth of runway, and like that's how we saved the company in that moment. And of course, when you like go for something, and that's what we're talking about on stage, and you have the courage to be like, to just to put the fear aside and to do it anyway. Like miracles do happen then too. Like when you just lean into the things that you have to lean into. And I leaned into it. The universe had my back, and we got an offer for $50 million from from a VC. And then of course the board came back and we're like, of course we're investing anyway. And so all the capital was back at the table. And then from there, that 50 million value grew to 100 million to 200 million to, exiting at $1 billion. So it was the right decision.
It is why you're such a badass. I mean, think of that, 26 years old.
Yeah.
People that just gave you money, double the money. You tell them no. They tell you, well, we're not giving you any more.
Yeah.
So you put your house on the line. I mean, come on.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. When you look back at that story.
I know, our house was really tiny. So I also look back and I was little, but it is. I will say, no, it's everything in that moment. So although I play, we were talking about that, would I have taken the risk? I think at the time it was still very risky, right? Whatever it was, it's putting everything that you have on the line for it. So for sure, it was a definite badass move. So I'll take that.
Yes, it was. All right, I'm going to transition because I'm really curious how you're going to answer this question. So the Sidekick Life, we believe as entrepreneurs, we are sidekick to our customers, or they are our heroes, right? We have their back. So if you had to define who's your hero, right?
Yeah.
And what's their problem, how do you solve it?
Okay. I think my heroes are small business. I have had a place for small business in my heart my whole life. My parents were small business owners. I grew up around small business. My first company, Stax, served small businesses. That was the entire value proposition. I'm building again, and again, it's back to support and to bring. We're building the business credit score, which I'm excited to share with you guys about here shortly. But it's so that small business owners can know their worth. Small business, my hero, always and forever.
Love it, love it. And what's their problem?
Oh my God, everything. Being a small business owner is so hard.
Yeah.
Everything, right? It's everything. So as a small business owner, their challenges are resources, one. So not having that, I think that if you are a small business owner, you've already put so much on the line. You've already taken the risk. You're already going for it. So you already have it's not the perseverance. It's not the stuff, you've got what it takes and you're here. Now that you've decided to go, there's two things that you need. You need time and capital. That's what you need. And we talked about that freedom of time and freedom of dollar. Most entrepreneurs that start businesses, you're doing it because you want that freedom of dollar and that freedom of time, but you have neither. So small businesses need resources. They need capital. They need revenue, right? So they need customers. And they need more. They need people. They need time, and they need scale. And so I think there's so many challenges that small business owners face. And I think that there's hopefully a lot of sidekicks that can come in and support them at all the different stages of what they need. The first sidekick is getting the business started, which is where you guys come in, right? Getting them off the ground. And then, they're going to need all their heroes to support them, or all their sidekicks to support this hero, because it's a big journey. And when a small business succeeds, right, it's good for everyone.
Yes,
it's true.
100%.
It's good for everyone. And so they're the hero.
Yeah, ours too. Absolutely. And so it dawns on me that Stax, you said time and money, and you've really focused on the money side. I think on Stax, you brought the physical card and the online card together, right? And now with Worth AI, you're trying to help them get access to capital again.
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about the next venture?
Yes, absolutely. So I would say as an entrepreneur, the first time around, I was definitely focused, freedom of dollar. That was a huge part of it. My background was in finance. Sales was in finance. I was in the credit card industry. It's just kind of how it happened. And I do believe, truly, if we can, revenue solves all problems. So having access, not just access to capital, but being able to utilize your resources effectively and correctly is an important part of business. And at the time, the problem that I was solving was that payments were the heart of small business. And we weren't serving every kind of small business. We were serving certain specific verticals that were left out of the solutions. And at Stax, one of the biggest challenges that I saw firsthand was when we were onboarding customers. We were a financial institution. There were humans on the other side. We had underwriters determining a business's credit worth. That's how it's done. There was not a lot of technology there to underwrite, one of your franchise owners or your business or, Tyler's business or Ryan's business or Suneera's LLC. And we have to go through this back and forth process of understanding the business credit worth and then determining a value on that business to say, okay, great. And this is just for credit card processing, but this process is for loans. This process is for when you open a business banking account. This process is when you need a checking card. This is for every single tool set a small business is having to go through all of these different things to go validate and go prove to go open up services.
Right.
But as a consumer, I can go walk in and buy a car today and make all my financial health is determined by a single number. It's my credit score. Right. And it's standardized. There's been no standardization for a business. And there hasn't been a business credit score that's been standardized. And so if there was a way for us to standardize credit worth for a business, that in essence can change the way business is done, because we can determine a business's worth based on the merit of that business, not based on the human that's behind it. And the human part of it is important, but I saw firsthand that, women, people of color, are left out of the ecosystem because somebody decided they didn't want to ask for the second piece of paper, or they didn't feel like, the name on the application looked different. And so we can't there's conscious and unconscious bias that does exist. And with data now, we can eliminate that. And there's good bias too. If I'm a Gator, I went to UF and you went to UF, and I see your application come through, I'm like, great, awesome, Tyler, let's go. Here's an extra 10 grand in processing. And so it's risky also for institutions to rely on humans to make decisions. And so we're tackling that problem, and we're back at it again. So we're building the business credit score. It's called the Worth Score. And this time around, I'm not going to small business first. So I'm going to enterprise first. So we're in, with all the top financial institutions, like every top bank that you can think of, we're in pilots with right now. And our goal is to help the institutions leverage data to make financial decisions. So we have a 360 profile on a small business. They can make decision based on that data. And next year, or the end of this year, we're going to launch the Worth Score, and think about it like a Credit Karma or Rocket Money, but for your business, where you have one solution for everything integrated to see your financial profile, to know your business credit score, how to improve it, what's on the other side. And just having that data is so powerful, because we're just left out of the conversation. We should be part of the conversation.
I love that. How long does it take for a small business to actually accumulate that score? How long would it take?
Oh, it doesn't. It's immediate. So we already have all the data sets. So post-COVID, there was a huge shift, right? Digitization of businesses. We're all online completely. So we do our banking online, we do our payroll, our processing, every sort of financial, everything that we do is now digitized, including paying our taxes. So what we've done is we've integrated to all of the top tools, including the IRS. We've gone to, we're partnered with Equifax and Plaid, and just the biggest and the best tech companies that most, 80% of small businesses are using these tool sets. And so we've done our integration. So you as a small business, you just log in with two things: your business name and your EIN number, your tax ID. And in seconds, it's pulling, and you authorize it. So you say, you can log into your QuickBooks, your payroll, your whatever. And literally in seconds, it's pulling 1,100 data points and giving you a 360 profile of your business. And machine learning is so incredible. It's like a virtual CFO in your business. Right now, even as a business owner, I have to go to 9 different places to look at the cash in my business, to understand, it's not for example, something so simple of Rocket Money in your personal finances, when you integrate to a tool like that, it tells you where your money's going, gives you suggestions on where too many subscriptions, right? So it's cancel these things. Why don't we have that for our business?
Right.
And so this isn't anything it's been done before, but it's never been done before.
Yep.
So I just love the white space here, and we're the perfect team to go solve it. I can't believe we're doing it again, but we have to go do it.
This is I don't come across this very often in my life, but sometimes you come across these ideas how does that not already exist?
I know.
In my head, I'm Rolodexing. I'm like, there's got to be something.
And I keep coming up with the ones that how do they not exist?
I know. What's the other idea you're thinking about? You're not going to have time to do it. Give it to us. You're so good at this.
I do. I've got a really good one.
Let's touch online on that.
Okay. I've got such a good one. I have no time to do it.
Oh gosh, that is just amazing. And like you said, it's just all there. You're pulling it together.
Yeah.
And even before I knew all that, just when you told me the top line, the credit score for your business, I was like, yes. I mean, I immediately understood what you were doing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So what's your role? Your day-to-day is what? Yep. CEO.
My role is CEO.
And you do what as CEO?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I think we laughed about it. I'm the firefighter. So, I think it's the greatest job in the world. I get to do a little bit of everything. I get to share the story of the business, which is my favorite thing to do. I get to talk to customers. I get to talk to investors. I get to inspire my team. I get to do all the things. that also comes with all the things, which is the non-sexy part about being CEO. But that's my role, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love to do it, and I carry it with me. I was told my entire career, even building Stax, that it's not personal, Suneera, it's just business. Business is the most personal thing I'll ever do. I spend more time here in anything that I do in my life, like in anything else. Why shouldn't it be personal? And that always struck me, like business is personal. So I love it. I get to do the best job in the world.
You know what I'm really curious about too? So you talked about walking into those rooms trying to raise money in the beginning, right? And I'm sure it's like, you know, please give me money. You walk in now and say, sign here. Like what's the difference?
Yeah, it's a huge difference. The first time around, it was anyone that, you know, would just listen, right? And trying to be humble and trying to accept feedback. And the responses were, you know, oh, we love it. It's just, you know, we're not, you know, the size of it's too small. Like, come back. Like, you know, it wasn't always like some asshole response, but it was just a no, not right now.
Sure.
That was like usually the response. And it was just, it hurt. Like, it was like, and we had everything growing. Like, the business was perfect. And I knew that a big part of me inside knew that if I did look different, that the answer would be different. And that's a really shitty feeling. Like, that is a really I wasn't even given an opportunity. So many times that, like, I would be mistaken for, the CMO of the company, or like my brother's assistant, or, you know, something else, like not even, it just is what it is. Like, I have so many stories that I can tell you through the years, and they still happen every day. And, you know, I kind of use that as like that underestimation became a huge part of like this chip I carried on my shoulder. So I was constantly trying to prove myself, and it worked in my favor, right? It worked in my favor the first time around, but, you know, I realized that you do have to, you know, face rejection, and that's part of, you know, success is part of that. Like, it's not going to be easy, and you find a way to get through it, and you're going to get the no, but if you work hard enough, you will find the yes. Like, there are people that can will their way into doing it. There's that kind of DNA, and that's just the kind of DNA that we have. Yep. It's a winning DNA, and I don't care how many times I'm going to be told no, I will find a way to find the one person, and that's all you need. Yeah. And so I did find those people. And from there, I was really able to leverage, like, just, I do feel like I was constantly having to, like, I was definitely over-credentialed, over-qualified, over everything, and got lower valuations. But I was willing to accept what I needed to accept to get the business to move forward this time around. And we had such an amazing outcome, and that's why, like, I'm not a billionaire. So, like, I did sell $1 billion business, but I gave up so much equity along the way. I had so much capital that's like, you know, that still got stuck in the business because I was pushed aside to say, oh, I have to roll my equity while all my investors made capital. And we did very well. So I don't look back, and I don't regret anything, but doing it the second time around, I can do it from experience now, right? Yeah. And this time around, so those first investors that I was sharing, like our initial A round or seed round, they made 18 times their money, right? And the next set of investors, so we literally deployed hundreds of millions of capital through our exits. We made not only our investors very happy, but our team as well. Like, our team had such a fruitful exit. We had, you know, dozens of millionaires created from our team. We had, you know, even more that were in the multi-six figures that were able to, you know, pay off their homes and their loans and their parents' homes, and just the stories that came out of an exit like this. It was a huge, I don't take that lightly. And I know that that's the ability that also being an entrepreneur can do. It's not just a success that you can have for yourself, but every day. And I think I love my people so much. Every organization, like, it takes a team to go build it. And my dad used to say this, and he literally said, everything you touch turns into gold. And I do believe that I do have a superpower of things that I work hard for them, but I do know the effect that it does have, like, on people's lives as well. And if I am successful, then everyone around me is successful too. And there's, you know, currently right now at Team Worth, we're about 50 something people. That's 50 mouths, like 50 tables that are being fed every single day. That is something that, no matter what, like, there's not a selfish, there's like people, you know, I think people don't understand it if you're not a CEO or you're not a business owner. That is a heavy weight. It's easy to look at it from an outside and to critique and to say, to whatever judgments that people have of like why we're starting businesses and, the financial success and all of that. But being a business owner, you're also a hero. Like you are literally supporting so many people. Absolutely. That's something that I think is, I do carry. And even this time around, like we have the ability to do it. We should do it. Yeah. We should do it.
Well, time is flying. Yeah. We could talk about your business forever, which I want to, but unfortunately we're getting low. So we want to transition because the second part of the Sidekick Life is that Sidekick Life part, which means when you serve enough other people, when you help enough other people solve their problems, you get the life that you want. So can we just talk a minute about carve the business off, which I know is hard. Talk about your personal life. Like what
it's not hard. I love talking about personal stuff.
Good. So how, now that you've helped all these people, what do you do different? How do you travel? What do your girls see? Like, tell us a little bit about what your Sidekick Life is.
Yeah, I think it took me a long time to understand that I am also part of the story. I don't know what it was. I think it was just like the being so heads down. And also I think like as a woman and as a mother, like you're just always giving so much to everyone. I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter. And so I feel like I was always constantly pouring into everyone. And post-exit, so it was like the first time that I actually got to like ask myself, like, what do I want? Like no one's ever asked me that. And I got an opportunity to ask myself that. So, and I also kind of, I didn't even know who I was. Like everything about my life was just that. I knew I was a CEO and I knew I was a mother and a wife. Like those are like, those like my roles were defined by those things in my life. And so over this last 2 years, I've like tried piano. I've like gone on a million, and I've always loved to travel. I'm a big wino. I love to cook, and like food's a big part of our life, and hosting. I love to have like friends and family over, but I really got to just explore a million different things because I'm like, what do I actually like? Like, what do I actually want? And so I went on this like really fun journey of just trying. I'm like been such a yes person of like just trying different things and seeing like what I love to do. And right now I'm like very focused on like health and my mindset. And that just became like a huge part of my, like, I don't know how I was living without it and how I even survived the last 10 years, like without the tools that like I'm learning now. And it's not that I didn't. So I worked out, I like, had a coach, like I did all this stuff, but I don't think I think I was doing it for the business. I don't think I was doing it for myself. Yeah. And now that I'm doing it for myself, I feel like, oh my God, it's having the most magical effect on everything in my life. So I'm really into, I'm into meditation. I'm into journaling. I love my podcast. So I've always loved it. I started it in 2020. It's called CEO School. And I'm just really in my impact phase in my life and just having fun with that. And so, I get to support like female entrepreneurs. If you're, a female business owner that's listening, definitely come say hi and check it out. Guys, I love you too. But we've got a space. I've got a space for women. Yeah. And I just love that. Like I love doing, so we're doing retreats and I just get to meet the most amazing women. I'm speaking, like this is so fun, just meeting like amazing people. And I'm still doing the wine. I'm still doing all the like the family food stuff and just spending time with my girls. We have a dog, like a massive golden retriever now, and his name's Habibi. He's like the biggest gullible, like he's just so cute, but also he's like so giant, and he's like a year old. So life is full, and I'm being present. And I think that's where I'm at in my life right now, is just enjoying everything, whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well, good for you. It's so funny too. You're our kind of entrepreneur, because even when you talk about personal, it's still like, I'm doing the CEO school. It's like, it's just part of it, right? It's all entwined.
But it's the love. It's the love.
That's exactly how we are.
You've done a great job of combining the two, and that's okay. That's great.
It's not work for me, this stuff, because I'm choosing to do the things that bring me joy. So that I don't consider, it truly isn't. When you do love it, like it doesn't feel like work. And I've found a way to like make it so it's not work. When I do think that if it does become where like I'm trying to scale that to be, CEO School into like a massive business, and it has to be like the next, I think it can be, if I really put my attention there, I could scale it to whatever I want. That's not what my goal is. Right. I want it to be just a place that I go to and I enjoy just meeting amazing women. And so that's what I'm up to, is just being present. I love walking. That's totally my thing. That's my thing, is I do like all the fun workout stuff. So I'm a 45 girl. I do Pilates. I'm like really into just like being fit. But walking is my thing. I could like literally go for an hour walk and like not even know that it's been an hour.
Yep, same. AirPods in, right? And you go.
Yeah, baby.
Well, you are an amazing woman. So thank you for being here with us. This has been super inspiring, super informative. You're just so impressive. So thanks for being here with us. How can people find you? Obviously CEO School.
You can find me everywhere. So Suneera Madhani, Suneera Madhani, like Madonna, Madhani. And I'm on Instagram, on LinkedIn. You can find me for the podcast at CEO School, and definitely check out Worth. So just go to my page at Suneera Madhani and everything is linked from there.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. This was so fun.
Thanks for joining us on the Sidekick Life, where we highlight true sidekicks, entrepreneurs who've got their customers' backs, solve real world problems, and after helping enough people, get to live the life they've always dreamed of. We'll see you next time.